Okay, Jandalyn said that the message was the studio's full. So I'm thinking if she still can't get on,
She's here.
when
She's here.
Liz, huh?
Yandel is here.
Oh, she is good. Oh, because I was going to say, okay, never mind.
You let
That's what
some.
I'm going to say. Okay, so we should log on again.
Nope,
Yeah, she
you're
said she
good.
couldn't get in because
Yeah,
It's
we
the
know she's in. She's in.
Yandelin is here. We're seeing that everyone else, your guests outside of StreamYard, everybody who is logged into Vimeo will have to relog in through a different link.
So how do we get that information to them?
Hold on 1 second. Go ahead.
Can you check the chapter's YouTube? I think it's live.
Okay, so I just hold on 1 second. We are having technical difficulties, and we should be live in about 2 more minutes. But we're going to have to send everyone a new login, and we're taking care of that right now. Rhonda, I cannot.
Good evening. My name is Deborah Shepherd Brooks, the Arts and Letters Chair for the St. Petersburg Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority. We're sorry for the inconvenience. We had some technical difficulties with the broadcasting, but the show will go on. Welcome to our virtual evening of the arts. We are showcasing a diversity in the arts from music, dance, literature, poetry, monologues, and theater. During the past year and a half of the COVID pandemic, we have had an increase in stress, suicide, and isolation from our families. The arts has always been an avenue to release anxieties and the pressures of everyday life. Delta Sigma Theta is committed to the preservation of the arts. We hope this program tonight will be a healing for your heart, mind, and soul. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this program. Our mistress of ceremony for this evening is the famous Broadway actress Terry Burrell. At this time, Dr. Teresa McPherson will come forward and introduce our MC for the evening. Thank you for coming, and again, enjoy.
Good evening. As my soror, Deborah Shepherd Brooks mentioned, I am also a member of the St. Petersburg Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta, and I am extremely pleased to be here tonight. I'm sure you will have a wonderful time, and it was a pleasure working with Ms. Shepherd Brooks and the committee in putting this show together. I am proud and honored to introduce the fabulous Terry Burrell. Terry is a stage actor and songstress from the West Indian and American descent with over 40 years of stage, screen, and Broadway experience. Terry's Broadway credits include, but certainly are not limited to, Three Penny Opera, Thoroughly Modern Millie, Swinging on a Star, Stephen Sondheim's Into the Woods, Michael Bennett's Dreamgirls, Hunky Tonk Nights, Eubie, and the first London production of Showboat as Julie. In addition, Terry has a number of regional credits, including, and I'm sure you've heard of all of these, Glinda, Auntie M in The Wiz, Conchita, Barry Manilow's Copacabana, Mrs. Brown Mavis in The Women of Brewster's Place, and the Queen Fairy Godmother in Cinderella, just to name a few. Terry, because of her extraordinary experience and talent, she has also been nominated for several awards, including the Susie Best Actress and Playwright Award for writing and the portrayal of Ethel Waters, and for her portrayal of Billie Holiday in Lady Day. Also, the Helen Hayes Best Actress Award for her portrayal of Queenie in Duke Ellington's Queenie Pie. She has performed in jazz concerts around the world, including the Duke Ellington Orchestra in Venice, Italy, and the Jazz Festival in Oslo, Norway. In addition to her many credits as stage performer, she is also a seasoned cabaret artist who has performed her nightclub act for audiences from Monte Carlo to the Caribbean. She is currently prepping for her one-woman concert, Backstage and Other Stories, commissioned by the Roswell Arts Cultural Center in Atlanta, Georgia, and she's currently performing A Man and His Music in the Arts Center of Coastal Carolina. As if she's not busy enough, Terry humbly agreed to be the mistress of ceremony for the Delta Sigma Theta sorority, Heart and Soul, a virtual evening of the arts. Terry is not only a phenomenal actor, singer, and Broadway star, I am proud to say she's a dear friend and also a family member. It is my absolute honor and privilege to introduce the wonderful, talented, and beautiful Terry Burrell.
Hey, everybody, let's get this party started. Get your popcorn, kiddies. Get your drink on, adults. Ooh, what a little moonlight can do for you. Ah, ooh, what a little moonlight can do to you. You're in love, your heart's a flutter all day long. You only stutter 'cause your poor tongue just will not utter the words, I love you. Ooh, what a little moonlight can do to you. Ha! Wait a while till the moonbeam comes peeping through. You'll get so you can't resist him. All you'll say when you have kissed him is ooh, 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 whoa, what a little moonlight can do. Ah, ooh, what a little moonlight can do to you. Slip a little Billy in there. Wait a while till that moonbeam comes peeping through. You'll get so you can't resist him. All you'll say when you have kissed him is ooh, 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 what a little moonlight can do. Yeah. All right, now I got to put my peepers on because we got to get this show on the road. Thank you for your patience. You're just fantastic. We have first up this amazing singer. Her name is Janderlyn White. Yes. And she is going to perform, and actually, she's going to perform an original song. Is she here? Janderlyn, are you here? Hello, darling. You look beautiful. Oh,
Thank
you
you.
know, let me read your resume real quick. She's a singer, songwriter, musician. Her vocal styles is reflective of her love for jazz, R&B, classical, with her own original soulful expression. Right so far? She attended Florida State University, where she received her Bachelor's of the Arts in Music and then her Master of Science in Education from Capella University. Oh, and by the way, she's been singing since she was 3, which was what, a year ago? She's traveled nationally and internationally as a featured artist and a soloist singing both gospel and classical music. I'm impressed. Her international appearances include Germany and Italy. I've been there too. She's CEO and founder of, listen to this now, J.E. White Music Group, which specializes in music education, coaching, and artist development. Here are some of her accomplishments. Released her first single in 2012, That's Love. In 2014, it was Rescue Me. Tampa Bay Female Artist of the Year, featured on BET Hip Hop and Soul Train Awards, nominated for Artist of the Year at the Steeple Awards. And now her newest single, Fall in Love, was released February of 2021. How's that? Did you believe that's you?
When you hear it, it sounds like a lot. It sounds like a lot.
I know. When we spoke on the phone, I told you that I went to YouTube to hear you. Mm-hmm. And I heard the song Fall in Love, and it became my prayer for the morning. Oh. So tell us a little bit about how that came about.
Fall in Love is just as a song where I was just spending time with a good friend of mine. He's also a songwriter and a musician. And a lot of times we come together and we write songs for other artists. And that day, he was just kind of like, you haven't released anything in a really long time. So, let's just work. And it started as just like, a moment of worship for us. We just started singing other worship songs. And out of that moment of worship, birth the atmosphere in which, Fall in Love was written. It started with just the beginning and the words, no matter how far I fall, there's no pit too deep. Like there's nowhere too low that God can't come and get me. And it doesn't matter how high I fly or how well I'm doing or all of the accolades. It doesn't matter, where you go, God is always there still. And, out of that was just.
Uh-oh, did she just freeze? Can you hear me, Janderlyn? Okay, you know what? We're going to bring Janderlyn We're going to bring Jandalyn White back. This is the thing with technology, honey. Oh, there she is. Oh, I was about to give you up. See what a friend I am? I tell you what, why don't we hear that beautiful song? Are you ready to perform it for us? Because
Yes.
I am more than ready to hear it. I know what your voice sounds like. Thank you so much for being a part of this.
Fall, there's no pity deep, you won't come after me. And no matter how high I fly, there's no height too high, your love can't reach. In the darkest times, you're the light, shining consistently. I fall in love with you. Fall in love with you. I fall in love. No matter how far I fall, there's no pity deep, you won't come after me. No matter how high I fly, there's no height too high, your love can't reach. The darkest stars, no other light, shining consistently, I fall in love. Demons, who you are. When I call, you're never too far. Never around me, never around me. You're here for me. Faithfully, always there. You know I have no way. And with all of me, I'll stay. I fall in love. Oh, yes, I and I say, oh, I'm falling in love with you. Oh, I'm falling in love with you. Oh, I'm falling in love with you.
Hey, I just had to have them bring me back on with you because that was amazing. One very important question. Where can people find and purchase your music?
Oh man. Okay, so my music is on all major digital outlet stores. If you are an Android Amazon person, you can get it on Amazon Music. You can get it. All my stuff is on YouTube. Like you said, if you search Jandalyn White Music or J.E. White Music, you'll find me on YouTube. My website, you can get everything. All of the links are there as well. My website is www.jewhitemusic.com. So everything is there as well.
Thank you so much. That was such a
For
treat.
the
That's
opportunity.
lovely of you to come on and do this for us. It's beautiful. Thank you. Okay, the show's going on. Let me see. I have here, this paper says Celilian Green, and right under her name it says lawyer, poet, teacher, mediator, playwright, speaker. Well, all right. Let me read your bio, Celilian. Celilian Green is an internationally known poet, as well as a lawyer, teacher, mediator, playwright, and speaker. She wrote her first poem, Because I Love You, in 2001, and she shared it publicly in 2003. Yet in the fall, winter of 2005 and 2006, she had written 100 poems. I can't even write one sentence. Her most significant work during that time was the epic poem That Word, published in 2010, released in 2015 by the DC Black Theatre Festival for a staged reading. Her work has aired on radio, TV, including ITN in England, and she's been quoted in news articles such as the Washington Post and National Geographic, as well as law review articles. She was recognized as social justice thought leader by the Kirwan Institute for the Study of Race and Ethnicity at The Ohio State University for her poem Lifted in its 2009 publication, Obama Reflections, From Election Day to Presidency. In 2009, Lifted was sealed in the cornerstone of the Thurgood Marshall Center in Washington, D.C., which will not open until 2108. Her recording, Celilian Says, was released in 2011. She penned the call for freedom for the 150th anniversary of Washington, D.C. Emancipation Day, and recited it at the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial in 2012. Well, I wish I could have been there to see that. Her book, A Bridge, the Poetic Primer on African and African American Experiences, was published in 2015. And then in 2016, she wrote The Present and They Prayed. The former was in honor of the opening of the National Museum of African American History and Culture. She recited the latter at the 2016 African Methodist Episcopal Church Bicentennial in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She delivered a special place, 150 years bold, for the 150th anniversary of her alma mater, Howard University School of Law, in April 2019. And in 2020, she honored the legacy of the quilter, Harriet Powers, with her poem, The Powers That Be. In October of 2020, she spoke at the University of Cambridge, Robinson College, on the topic Otherness and Race. Wow. She is also a contributor to the anthology 2020, The Year That Changed America, due to be published in 2021. More information is available on her website, www.celiliangreen.com, and that's a capital C, small e, capital Lillianne, capital GREEN.com. Welcome. Welcome. Can you hear me, Celilian?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I sure can. I sure can. Okay, so you know when we talked on this,
can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, I can. When we talked on the phone, the first thing that I mentioned to you was the unusual quality of your name. I knew that there had to be a story to that name. Would you share it with us? It's such an unusual thing, Celilian Green.
Yes, thank you for asking. Thank you for asking me about that. My name is the name of my Aunt Celilian. And my Aunt Celilian is named after my great-grandparent, on my mother's side. My grandfather's mother's name was Celia. My grandmother's mother's name was Lilla May. And my grandfather's sister was named Anne. And my grandmother on my mom's side put all that together and named my Aunt Celilian. Wow. And I'm named after my Aunt Celilian because she was not able to have children.
Mm-hmm.
And she also had cerebral palsy, so she had an inability to actually speak her name clearly. So I feel like part of my role in life is to say our name.
Mm-hmm.
And so when people ask me, well, what do they call you? They call me Lillian, or they call me Miss Green, because I honor her in the
Yes.
name that was given to me in honor of the ancestors that we both have. So thank you so much for asking me about that. And I wrote a poem for her some years ago called My Aunt Lillian. I'm not going to do that today, but I have honored her and that name.
Well, you've got some poems that you are going to read tonight, and I'm telling you, the one that I really am looking forward to is what was the poem about the man in the? I wrote it down here. Anyway, I'm looking forward to all of them, but there's one in particular.
That's the last one I'll be doing.
Yes, I'm really waiting to hear that one. Okay, take it away, Miss Green.
Thank you. Great. Well, thank you so much again for having me here today. The first poem I'm going to do is my tribute to Dorothy Height. The name of this poem is The Highest Height. Highest Height. As of April 20, 2010, Dorothy Height did not breathe again. To this world, she said goodnight after reaching her highest height. In her 98 years, Dorothy Height worked more than enough through situations pleasant and sometimes tough. She was born in a country where her color was rejected, and she lived with her status as a woman routinely disrespected. Yet as the sole Black woman, she proudly stood as the balance for those men who sought to do good for a maturing democracy amid their pain from living in its hypocrisy. Dr. Height did her share to make her country and her people aware of the dignity of the Black family, aware of its history and its legacy. A life of purpose is what Dr. Height led. The spirit of her people is what she fed. She lived and dined with ministers and with the masses. She met with presidents and with people of many races and classes. In her signature hats with clothes to match. Dorothy Height was a lady at all times, gracefully aging like fine wine. And now that she has closed the earth door, there will be other places for her to explore. Understand this spiritual assignment is complete. Now her creator she must meet and greet. For those who feel sad and left behind, please accept that a life well lived deserves a finish line. Just remember her love for her people, her commitment and her dedication. Remember to follow her motto of life of service to her nation. Remember Dr. Height as courageous and kind, fully possessed of a sound mind. Remember she lived to reach her highest height, and she chose when and where to say goodnight. Highest Height in tribute to Dorothy Height. Thank you for that. The next poem I'm going to do is a tribute to all the mothers in the audience. I'm certain that there are mothers, grandmothers, aunties who have people who call you mama, nana. So this is my tribute to the mothers because Mother's Day is tomorrow. The poem is entitled, I Didn't Know. I Didn't Know. I didn't know I could love like this. I didn't know I could experience such bliss. I didn't know when you were born in you my heart would now be worn. I had no idea my child could take my heart and teach me to love from my deepest part. I didn't know how much I had to learn or that from this love I would return. I had no concept of love like this and that between us this love would always persist. I didn't know the joy of seeing your tiny lips or the power of feeling your tender kiss. I didn't know that in your eyes I would see the sunrise. I would see the sunrise and never forget that because of you, God and I met. I didn't know that when I bore a child, I would be intoxicated by your smile, or that I would gladly shed my tears to erase your doubts and your fears. Carrying you in my womb has allowed me to fully bloom. I have bloomed and made room. I've made room for love like this, love I could never dismiss. You are my child, the fruit of my loins. In the power of love, we are forever joined. Joined in a love that will never set as long as tears continue to be wet. A love like this I'd never known. But with your birth, I've been shown. You've shown me the power of motherhood. And before you, it was a power I misunderstood. I will use this power to move heaven and earth, to make sure you know your value and your worth. With you, I've experienced love in its purest form, the love for which I was born. Before you, I didn't know there was love like this. And now I know why I exist. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. I didn't know. Now, this last poem I'm going to do is a poem based on an experience I had about 20 years ago during the Black Caucus event. I was sitting in the lobby of a hotel here in Washington, D.C., and this brother walked into the lobby. And I remembered that experience, and I wrote a poem about it some years later. And it's entitled, The Way He Walked. The Way He Walked. The way he walked, he didn't really need to talk. I watched as he entered the room. He brought with him a quiet boom. My eyes were drawn to his virile gait, a pace that was serene and sedate, a steady stride, almost a glide. Quiet power and elegance too. He didn't say a word, he didn't have to. He looked around the room and caught my eye. I smiled politely and mouthed the word, hi. He returned a smile and walked my way. I restrained myself, and in my seat I stay. But I inhaled and exhaled the way he walked. And when he reached my table, well, then we talked the way he walked. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so very much. And all the best in the remainder of the program, and enjoy the evening. Thank you.
Wow. I wish I could have witnessed that. Hey, Dr. Shamika Jones. Can I just tell you how much I love calling a Black woman doctor? Doctor.
Yeah.
So tell us who you are and what you are to this organization.
I am Dr. Shamika S. Jones, the chapter president of the sensational St. Petersburg Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I've actually been involved with this organization since I was a youth, 15, 16 years old, as one of the adult teams is what we called them back then. But now I have involved and become the chapter president.
Fantastic. So were you involved? I mean, how did this whole thing evolve about this evening of heart and soul? Were you involved in that?
So, of course, as president, I got a little bit of involvement in some of everything that we're doing. And Deborah Shepherd Brooks and her Arts and Letters Committee, we're trying to plan an event. We are celebrating May Week, which is historically a week during for our chapters to celebrate our programs, our community service programs, and highlight the achievements of African American women. And this week we've been very, very busy. We actually started last Saturday with our Economic Development Committee, talking about where your money resides, so some financial planning tips. And then we kicked off Monday again. We had our health, physical and mental health committee talk about diet. Well, I'm sorry. They wanted you to get out and walk. So we have a challenge going on, 22,000 steps for the whole week. And we also have people pledging to donate so that we can donate to the American Heart Association and the American Diabetes Association. We have our political action, social action committee. We did a series with the League of Women Voters called Coffee in Common this week, where we talked about fighting voter suppression. And then we also, my Educational Development Committee donated some books to a school. And our International Awareness Committee is donating money to we have a Delta Sigma Theta sorority school in Haiti. So we're donating so that they can have books. And then this is the culminating event. Arts and Letters, Heart and Soul. We know that right now it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and we wanted to do something because we've been in a pandemic for over a year, and we've identified, the world is seeing a lot of mental health issues going on post-pandemic or some that happened before the pandemic are just being exposed now. So one of the things we wanted to do is provide this event because creative arts, expressive arts, it is therapeutic. Music is, how do they say it? Music is food for your soul.
Yes.
And so it's therapeutic. And myself, I think I told you, I know personally how therapeutic music can be as a musician myself.
Fantastic. But can I ask you like a really personal question? So, I knew from the time I was a little girl what I was going to do, and it was going to be what I do. I mean, there was never anything else that I wanted to do. Did you always want to be a pharmacist? I'm
Mm,
trying to picture like when you were 3 years old, and somebody said, "Shamika, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And you said, "I want to be a pharmacist."
Actually, I'm going to tell you a story. Okay, let me just go back. So when I was 15 years old, one day my mom was speaking to me, and I'll never forget it. We were like, I'm in her bed with her, and we were just chit chatting, and she asked me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I told her, I like money, so I want to be an accountant. And so she told me, your uncle just graduated from Tuskegee. He has an accounting degree and he can't find a job. She said, I want you to think about something else. And I was like, okay. She was like, what else is there? And I said, I don't know. My chemistry teacher pulled me to the side one day, and I never told my mom this, but since she was asking me, what am I good at? I was like, he told me, you should go into chemistry. You're really good in chemistry. There's not that many African American women in chemistry. You should look into a career in science. And,
Yes.
this is still what they're saying now, STEM. And they just
Very
saying that
important.
40 years ago. So I told my mom that, well, my chemistry teacher said I'm good in chemistry. And so she's like, okay, how about this? How about you be a pharmacist? You become a pharmacist. And I looked at her and said, a pharmacist? You mean that man in the back of Eckerd's? And she's like, yes. And I was like, I don't know what a pharmacist does. But anyways, fast forward, probably a year later, my mom passed away unexpectedly from leukemia. And after that, I was like, well, my mom want me to be a pharmacist, so I'm going to be a pharmacist. And here I am.
I am so happy. This is important to know that these are fields that are open to us. You don't have to, everybody doesn't have to play basketball and sing on a stage. Even in theater, there are a lot of other things that you can do. Now, we're going to bring you back at the end to give the closing remarks, but I just want to ask you just one more question. You talked about Mental Health Week, and we've heard about the uptick in suicide, especially. I mean, I get on Facebook and I see people reaching out, the Atlanta Artist Relief, talking about their depression and how overwhelmed they are. And you just want to be there to just give them a hug, hold their hand, something. But, you would be what, a frontline worker or whatever you are considered in the medical field. How do you as a medical person, as a person who has to come up with medication that treats depression, I mean, how do you take care of yourself? Because you sure don't look depressed to me.
Well, everybody knows I stay busy, but one of the things since the pandemic has started, I'm actually a pharmacist, which is a frontline worker. But the work that I do is more on an administrative level. I work in the corporate pharmacy, so I actually am the representative. I work for Florida Blue, and I'm out in the public a lot speaking about COVID-19 and encouraging people to get the shot.
Thank you.
But when
herd immunity.
Yes. But one of the things that I do, and I said it earlier, one of the things my mom also wanted me to do, she trained me and my sister from a little girl that we were going to a HBCU, right? And when I went to pharmacy school, and I also picked a college that had a great pharmacy school, and it was a great HBCU, and I landed at the one and only Florida A&M University in Tallahassee. And because I have been playing the flute and since I was in the fourth grade. And then I went on to FAMU and performed in their band. So I'm exposed to tons of music. So you ask me, what do I do to relax? I listen to music. I love music, all types of music. Right now, these days, what helps me is old school music because it puts me in that place. And there's so many great memories, so much going on in the world, but listen to some, oh, I know everybody saw the versus battle with, with the Isley brothers.
Oh, yes, yes.
That was wonderful. And
so
then
much
during
fun.
the pandemic, you had Be Nice, and he had these wonderful pandemic parties. Music was therapeutic. So that is what I do. I listen to music, and I am enjoying today's event because I can sit back and relax and listen to some great music.
Yes, some music, because even poetry is music, you know, and a person's voice and the way they use it is music.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Hang in there, hang in backstage, because we're going to bring you back. And I'm going to bring on our next guest. Well, two of them, actually. They're called Kalor and Cream. Baby. Let me read their resume. Hey, is that a virtual background? It's fantastic. You look like you're in an enchanted forest. Don and Leslie Hale met at Ithaca, New York, where they both attended the Ithaca College School of Music. Starting in 1980, they performed together in a 5-piece band called Daz, playing club dates and fraternity parties at nearby Cornell University. The band continued to work sporadically for several years while Leslie and Don pursued other projects. Leslie was active in the Syracuse-based theater group Paul Robeson, appeared as a soloist with the Syracuse Symphony Orchestra, and starred in a one-woman show at Syracuse Stage called Leslie. Now, Don taught school and toured for a while as a trumpet player with Paul Anka. In 1985, Leslie and Don formed the duo Kalora and Cream and began working in the Northeastern United States. They performed at hotels and clubs throughout the U.S. After their marriage in 1990 and the birth of their first son in 1992, they had the opportunity to move to Naples, Florida. I love it down there. They continue to entertain and delight audiences in Southwest Florida and other parts of the country. With continued success, they've explored other outlets for their music, including appearances on locally televised programs such as Lee Pitts Live and performances on cruise ships and other corporate venues. Their repertoire includes a spectrum of music ranging from Broadway jazz and contemporary to original selections. And I believe you're going to be doing an original selection tonight, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because, you know, this is the question that I get when I finish a show. You got any gigs coming up?
Yes, we do.
Well, what are they? People want to come and see you. Now they're opening up.
Yeah, they are. They are slowly but surely. You know, in Naples, the season is over with right now.
You want to talk into the microphone? We might be able to hear you.
Sure. Yeah, in Naples, the season is over with right now. So it's slowly but surely going to come back in the fall for sure.
Okay.
And we look forward to that because it's been a rough winter.
Oh, honey. Yes. Yes. I'm doing my first gig, you know, that the union would approve of here in Hilton Head, South Carolina. And I just got one more thing, because I worked on Carnival Cruise Line. I was the production singer. So let me ask you, have you heard anything from the cruise lines? Are they going to be coming back? Have you gotten any word that?
I heard that they are coming back. Yes.
Okay.
They talked about maybe in July that they were
okay.
Try to open up again. So hopefully we hope for the best. You know, there's a lot of the cruise lines that have like Smooth Jazz Cruise and Capital Jazz Super Cruise, things like that. And they're starting up. I think they're going to be starting up next January, but the cruise line is coming back to life.
Okay. Well, why don't you bring us back to life and do your thing, chicken wang.
All right. Okay, we're going to do an original song for you, and it's called A Little Rain Must Fall.
was September. It was the time I try not to remember, because I get a sick feeling whenever the leaves fall to the ground. Outside it's snowing, and so you say to Mexico you're going, and you will leave me here alone, not knowing just where our love is bound. And as you turn to me and say goodbye, I cannot help but wonder why. In every life a little rain must fall. There's no way that we can escape it all. I keep on hoping you will return again, but who could try to guess just where away? Now it's October, you say your fling with Mexico is over, and it's the perfect time to start all over, begin your life anew. So you'll be trying a new location that requires flying on down to South America and lying beside the water's blue. So as I hold your letter in my hand, you run your feet through golden sand. In every life a little rain must fall. There's no way that we can escape it all. I keep on hoping you'll return again, but who could try to guess just where or when? And in December, you say you're tiring of your new endeavor, and now nostalgia grips your heart whenever your thoughts would turn to me. So now I'm learning how to the frigid weather you're returning, because to live without me is just a burning impossibility. And while some questions always will remain, maybe it's simple to explain that in every life a little rain must fall. There's no way that we can escape it all. I always knew that you'd return again, but who could try to guess just where or when? You see, in every life a little rain must fall. There's no way that we can escape it all. I keep on hoping you'll return, yes I do again. It's going to be a song that was done for Miss Anita Baker. Great tune, one of my favorites, entitled Giving You the Best. Ain't there something I can't give you in exchange for everything you gave to me? Read my mind and make me feel just fine when I think my peace of mind is out of reach. Scales are sometimes unbalanced, and you bear the weight of all that has to be. I hope you see that you can lean on me, and together we can calm a stormy sea. We love so strong and so unselfishly. When I tell you now, I made a vow, I'm giving you the best that I got, baby. Yes, I tell you now, I made a vow, I'm giving you the best that I got, honey. Everybody's got their opinion about the way they think the story's gonna end. You see, some folks feel it's just a superficial thrill. Everybody's gonna have to think again. We love so strong and so unselfishly. They don't bother me, 'cause I'm gonna keep on giving you the best that I got. Oh yes, they don't bother me, 'cause I'm gonna keep on giving you the best that I got. Listen to me, baby. Somebody understands me. Somebody gave his heart to me. I stumbled my whole life long, always on my own. Now I'm home, and my weary, weary mind is resting, and I feel as if home is here in your arms. The fears are all gone. I like the sound of your song, and I think I want to sing it forever. We love so strong and so unselfishly. When I made a vow, and I'll tell you now, I'm giving you the best that I got. Oh yes, I am. I bet everything on my wedding ring, and I'm giving it to you, baby. Right. Just giving it to you now. I'm giving you the best that I got. Every day, every way, I'm giving you the best that I got. Yeah, yes, I am. I'm giving you the best that I got. All right. Oh, yes, I am. Oh.
Man, that was fantastic. I would love to just, pull out my lawn chair, have my glass of wine, and just listen. Okay, well, is Sahara up, or should we go on to the following guest? What's happening? I'm looking in the chat. There you are. You just
okay, I was about to type into the chat.
Did I scare you? Did I scare you, darling?
Yes, well, I thought I had a few more to go.
We weren't. What? What you mean? What you talking about, Willis? Now let me read your bio.
I may need to put on my
Sahara Sandhu. Wait, what you reading it for? You know what it is. Is an award-winning author of contemporary paranormal and multicultural romance novels. Okay. During the day, she is a scientist working on a flying telescope.
Yeah.
And at night, words flow onto the page like a magic carpet riding the trade winds on the Arabian Sea. Oh, girl. She has traveled throughout South America and the Caribbean, collecting folklore and Afro-Caribbean stories to fuel the imagination that generates her books. Her debut novel, Daughter of the Missing won first place in the Beverly Hills Book Awards, Beverly Hills of all places. The sequel, Fire and Ice, won the Emma Award for science fiction at the 2018 Romance Slam I Am Her, right? I Am. Her latest novella, Spice Island, a multicultural romantic comedy, that's my kind of book, won the 2019 Emma Award for contemporary fiction. In her spare time, she likes to read and dream up new and exotic places to visit so she can write stories about them. To learn more, please visit her website at Sahara, that's SAHARRA underline K, at K, right? That's it? Or is it
SAHARRAK Sandu, SANDHU.com.
Oh, okay. All right. Got it. Got it. It was a little long here. Okay. Something interesting happened when we talked on the phone because, I told you that I love science fiction. And I mistakenly called your work a fantasy. And you said, oh, hold it, lady. Hold it. It is not a fantasy. No, she didn't really say that, but it sounded better if I said she said, hold it, lady. Hold it, lady. Hold it. It is not a fantasy, okay? So get your head out of the clouds. What it is, you said it's science fiction. So what is the difference?
Fantasy is where you make up a world, a completely, totally different world and usually with fairies and elves and trolls.
You mean they're not real?
They're not real. Whereas science fiction, you tend to have more real people and real places. And with paranormal, it's actually real people in real locations with extraordinary talents. And in my books, they live and breathe in water.
Okay. So would you tell us where we'd be able to purchase your material?
Yes, online at Amazon.com. And if you want a list of all my material, go to my website. Mm-hmm. And I have one for my new adult series of books at www.sksandu.com or at my saharaksandu.com website.
And Sandu is spelled SANDHU.
SANDHU.
See, that's very important because people putting that in there and then, it's not coming up and it says she.
Oh, there it goes. They put it up on the screen.
Oh, there it goes. I love it.
There it goes.
Before you read your text, darling, I have one very important question for you. Are we alone?
No. I'm one of them.
You know what? I probably am too, because I act like an alien. Okay, here, take it away, baby.
All right. This is why I had to put my specs on. I'm going to read from my screen. This is from my new adult book called Phoenix Rising. And it starts out, it's one of the first ones in my series called The Stolen Ones. It's about people who were stolen from their culture, their lives, and taken away, and they never know who they are or what they can do, their special abilities. So this is that kind of a book. Anyway, I start off with, what would you do if you were swept out to sea without a boat? Astronaut Sarai Matthew finds out the hard way, and it all starts with a short stroll along the beach. She placed one foot in front of the other, savoring the feel of the sun-drenched shore. Before she knew it, she was ankle deep in water. Tendrils of pleasure hummed up her calves. She wiggled her toes in the churning surf and smiled. That was so not like her. Her critical mind screamed, trying to warn her she was standing shin deep in the ocean. Hello? The thought was shoved into the back corner of her brain. She lifted her head into the breeze. The salty aroma permeated the whole area. Oh, her gaze drifted to the water and the hypnotic sound of the surf. Water rushed one way, swirled and receded. Suddenly, a sharp pain ran through her head. Sarai doubled over, rubbing her temples. She wanted to stand straight, but was unable. What are you doing? A male voice, rich and melodic, echoed inside her brain. It seemed close. She looked around. blowing short breaths against the stinging barbs beating at her temples. What do you mean? The pain grew. She never experienced anything like this before. Someone spoke to her mind, and even more disturbing, she answered back. The effort made her head feel like it would explode. Get out of there, the voice said. Who are you? Who are you? How are you able to speak to me this way? All of our kind can do this when we are in the water. It's how we communicate. I was able to speak to you as soon as you touched the surf. The voice seemed agitated. What do you mean, our kind? How are you in my head? Who are you? Her head felt like a jackhammer was working on overdrive. I'm John Luke. There was tension in the clipped way he spoke. Who are you? Get out of my head. This hurts. She closed her eyes and rubbed her temples harder, desperately trying to. I've got guests here. They want to listen in. I cannot allow this. You are in danger. The voice was practically shouting. Hey, wait a minute. I'm in danger? Those men have guns and they mean you harm. I must stop this. Sarai glanced behind. The boat was close now. It was one of those rubber sports crafts that skimmed in shallow water. 3 men, all in black and wearing dark sunglasses, sat on the edge. One had a gun, the other reached out to grab her while the third one steered the craft. The gunman pointed at her. Help! She screamed. Wet sand sucked at her feet, slowing down her progress. She dragged her knees higher to propel herself through the waves and back to shore. Her heart raced. Salt water splashed, blurring her vision as she looked towards shore for help, but saw no one. Fear spiked with realization that she could not impossibly avoid impending collision. The boat rammed Sarai from behind, felling her in mid-stride, completely submerging her body. She felt the draft of the boat passing over, lifting her prone form and settling her back on the bottom. She kicked hard and surfaced for air, coughing and gagging. The boat turned and gunned straight for her. The lead man leaned over, preparing to grab her. Suddenly, a giant wave loomed behind the boat. It appeared impossibly large, without warning, swirling and churning against the flow of the ocean. Sarai stared in shock. This doesn't make sense. Waves don't behave like this. The water curled in a savage hook and crashed down on them just as the man grabbed her arm. Everything seemed to move in slow motion, from the sunlight caught in droplets of water to her scream as she tumbled over. The man lost his grip. His boat flipped over her head and disappeared in the foam-tossed sea. A phantom hand grabbed her just as the turgid water rolled over a second time. Before Sarai could react, she was pulled deep beneath the waves, away from the safety of the shore. She managed to surface once, only to gulp in a mouthful of air and water. Then she was dragged under. The water closed over her head, and the world around her went dark. And so her journey begins.
Oh, let me tell you something. That just took my breath away. So beautiful. You write so beautifully. Oh my goodness. I felt like I was at a bedtime story. Anyway, we're going to go on to our next guest, Dr. Alex Harris. Could you bring him on? Hello there, Dr. Harris. All I know is a voice on the phone, and now I see your beautiful face.
Well, great afternoon. Thank you so much for having us. And I'm so happy to be here tonight to celebrate this wonderful occasion on Art and Soul. And I think it's so important that we continue to celebrate and make the arts something that is really needed. You know, I hear people talk about STEAM and STEM and all of that. I always say, well, the arts, it is science. It's psychological, it's physiological, it's sociological. The art is engineering. I mean, we cannot have what we have without the various elements for engineering, the sounds. We talk about vibrations and all that kind of stuff, and also it is also, it's who we are. We are art. We are shape. We are sound. We are color. It's all about that.
And you have an organization, right?
I have an organization that is the Arts Conservatory for Teens, which I was about to segue to say that's what we.
Sorry, darling. Sorry.
No. That's what we do, and really expanding this concept, this idea of what the arts is to prepare students for the workforce, specifically the creative workforce. There's so much opportunity, and since our inception, we have worked with thousands of students. Now we started with 30. And now we're working with over 2,500 students a year across the Bay Area. We're still headquartered out of St. Petersburg, and a large part of our population, serving those who are often forgotten, those who are underserved, those who are pushed to the margins due to socioeconomic challenges. But we're so grateful that through our curriculum and what we believe to be a very important element to the human development, it has helped so many students excel to the highest, so much so that 100% of our students who come to our organization graduate with a high school diploma. 90% of those students to date, they have matriculated into the post-secondary educational institutions. So I think it's very, very important. And I'm so grateful for all the supporters here. And today we're very grateful to have one of our students who's going to perform for you. She's an alum of our organization and doing well, as many are, both commercially and with our own businesses, as well as in education and so on and so forth. Please welcome Liz.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, Liz.
Hi. So today I'm going to perform a dance called Beginnings, which is sort of based around the entire concept of how everyone is struggling to find new beginnings in this time, because the pandemic has not only changed our lives, but also changed us. So we're sort of struggling to find new ways to live in normalcy. So that's what this dance is.
Wow, Liz, that was amazing. I look at you and I remember when I had knees like that. Thank you so much. How long have you been with the program? Okay, wow. How long have you been with the program?
I was there my junior and senior year of high school. I just graduated from college this last year. So
fantastic. Thank you so much. That was stunning.
Thank you.
I'll have knees like that again in my next life. Anyway, we're bringing on our last performer. And I am so impressed with this gentleman. Let me read his bio. Now, this is what he told me that I should say. I should say that Masood is an Atlanta-based multidisciplinary artist. He is a featured actor in the forthcoming Syracuse Opera WCNY production of No Cowards in Our Band about the life of Frederick Douglass, and is premiering in July of 2021. But I want to tell you some other stuff about him, okay? He is a sculptor, graduated from the Savannah College of Art and Design, where he earned an MFA, okay, in sculpture in 2013. He is also the creative director of Blocked, a global healing project. I love that. He has been in Greenleaf, Being Mary Jane, Devious Maid, Satisfaction, and Nashville. And he is also a regular on The Quad. See, I'm sorry, I just could not just you're an Atlanta-based artist. Please give me a break. One of the things that I was really impressed with when we talked was that you shared that you were a member of actually I found it on YouTube, of the Baha'i faith. Yeah. And I asked you, in what way do you find that your practice expresses itself through your art? But first, tell us what the Baha'i faith is, and then you can answer the second question.
Well, first of all, can you hear me okay?
Can you hear me just fine?
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. The Baha'i faith is a religion, a global religion that has as its main principle, amongst many principles, the oneness of mankind. So it really is about really bringing humanity together across all the divisions that have traditionally separated us, be that based around race, around religion, around what neighborhood you come from, around your gender, whatever that is. And it's really focused on that core principle. And in addition, there are things like the equality of women and men, harmony of science and religion, the oneness of the world's religions, spiritual solutions to social economic problems. So these are the core principles of the faith. It really is about the unity and the oneness of mankind, and that being the focus of the religion itself.
I love it. Yeah. It reminds me of that saying, all roads lead to God.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So now I am so anxious to hear you're doing the Frederick Douglass piece, right? Is this piece that you're going to be doing be part of the opera?
No, this is a different one. I gotta keep a little mystery. This is one that I wrote several years ago, actually, just on my own accord. It's just ironic that I happen to be performing with these incredible artists for No Cowards, in our band, and it's about the life of Frederick Douglass. So this is a piece that I wrote. It'll give you a little bit of a teaser, and then hopefully it's a teaser enough to get you all to tune in for the premiere on July 3rd. So
yes, thank you so much. Lovely meeting you in person.
Oh, it's a pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to meet you. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. It's wonderful to be amongst a cohort of these amazing, amazing artists who are doing such incredible work in their discipline, and also just in service to the community as a whole. This piece that I wrote about the life of Frederick Douglass, I think it's significant, particularly on this weekend when we're celebrating Mother's Day. We're also Delta Sigma Theta, which has such a long tradition of service to the community of Black women stepping forward to make their contribution in the forward advancement of civilization. Because Douglass was a champion of women's rights and the equality of women and men at a time when that was, for many, just a really foreign idea. So this piece that I wrote a few years ago, well, I guess about a decade now, touches on some of that. So without further ado, I will perform Frederick Douglass, A Life. My name is Douglas. Frederick Bailey Douglas. I was born in Talbot County on the eastern shore of Maryland in the year of our Lord 1818, or so it is believed. My mother, Harriet Bailey, was a slave, and I, as her son, inherited the bitter mantle of that debased and inhuman condition. I was separated from her when I was but an infant, and I saw her infrequently until she died when I was a child of some 7 years of age. My father I never knew, only that he was a white man. But as to his character, or what position he occupied in society, well, that information remains a mystery to me. Of course, given the liberty which slave owners imposed their will on the virtue of their female property, it is likely that he was an overseer or a plantation owner. The vile practice was common during the bitter years of that godless enterprise. My grandmother, Betsy Bailey, cared for me as a child, and I remained with her until the age of 12 when I was sent to Baltimore to serve the household of a Mr. Hugh Auld. It was there, under the watchful eye of Mr. Auld's wife, Sophia, that my formal education began. Mrs. Auld taught me the alphabet, which was no small risk on her part, for the law forbade then, as it does now, the instruction of the Negro in reading and writing. When Mr. Auld discovered what his wife was doing, he expressed his disapproval in no small terms, saying that by acquainting me with the written word, she was planting within me the seed of freedom. It was the first decidedly anti-slavery lecture I had ever heard, although I do not believe that was the way it was intended. Despite the many difficulties, I persevered, and in due course, I developed a mastery of language. I devoured newspapers, books, and political materials of every description, as a starving man devours a plate of food. I began to question my place in the world, and indeed the place of my people. I came to see that knowledge could become a weapon that I might wield to attack the very foundations of an institution that sought to confine me for perpetuity to a life of chattel slavery. In 1833, I was sent to the farm of Edward Covey. He was a poor man of modest means who had a growing reputation as a slave breaker. I was thought to have gotten above myself by learning to read, and it was believed that this Covey could effectively put me back in my proper place. I was beaten nearly every day. Covey seemed to derive some sadistic pleasure by brutalizing other human beings. But then I wasn't human in his eyes. To him and to millions like him, my condition was more closely associated with that of a horse, or a pig, or a dog. Every hour spent laboring under his scornful gaze was like 1,000 years, and I felt my mind beginning to close in on itself. It seemed that all that I had struggled to learn was slipping through my fingers. One day, Covey attempted to beat me for some in fraction I cannot now recall. The wounds on my back had not yet healed from the previous day's beating. And I was determined that day that the sting of the lash would not carve fresh grooves into my flesh. Covey raised his arm to strike me, but I caught his hand before the blow fell. You see, I was only a child of 16, but my body had grown strong from working in the fields. He never attempted to beat me again. On that day, I was no longer a child. On that day, I had become a man, and I knew that I would die before I would surrender my dignity or my self-respect again. I was 20 years old when I gained my freedom. Working on the docks in Baltimore as a sailor and carrying the identification papers of a free black seaman, I absconded first by train and then by steamboat to New York City, settling eventually in New Bedford, Massachusetts. One day, while attending a meeting of the Bristol Anti-Slavery Society, I became acquainted with a certain Mr. William Lloyd Garrison. Oh, I do not have the words to describe the profound admiration this man roused in my soul. Suffice it to say that no face or form ever impressed me more with such sentiments of the hatred of slavery as did those of William Lloyd Garrison. I was transfixed by the power and passion of his oratory. It was while attending a subsequent meeting of this same organization that I was first asked to speak about my life as a slave. I was so nervous, my knees shook beneath my trousers. But I answered the call. I steadied myself and told my story. As I spoke, I felt very strongly that I was giving voice to the millions of my enslaved brethren who toil in silence across this vast land. Oh, I felt the presence of Betsy and of Isaac Bailey. When I concluded my address, to my surprise, the audience liked what I had to say. They awarded me with a standing ovation. I was encouraged to become an anti-slavery lecturer, and I traveled throughout the Eastern and Midwestern United States as a featured speaker of the American Anti-Slavery Society. In 1845, my autobiography was published, a narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass, an American slave. Within 3 years, it had become a national bestseller, reprinted some 9 times and translated into Dutch and to French. But because of its success, I was invited to travel to London and to Ireland, where I lectured to enthusiastic crowds at every stop. I thought of how far I had come. From my days on Covey's farm, where I thought I would surely die, to speaking to thronging crowds throughout the United Kingdom. It was a journey of remarkable good fortune, a profound faith, and an indomitable will. In 1848, I attended the first Women's Rights Convention in Seneca Falls, New York. During the meeting, a resolution was introduced asking for the right to vote for women. But many of those present opposed the idea, but my conscience would not allow me to be silent. I stood there on the convention floor and expressed myself in clear and emphatic language. In this denial of the right to vote, not merely the degradation of women and the perpetuation of a great injustice happens, but the maiming and repudiation of one half of the moral and intellectual power of the government of the world. The resolution passed. During my life, I have had the privilege of raising my pen and my voice for the freedom of my people and indeed for all people. I have become the friend and confidant of many influential citizens across this nation. I counseled a president and pressed him to draft the Emancipation Proclamation to finally end an evil institution. I championed the right of enslaved Black men to fight for their freedom. And I have traveled to distant lands to proclaim the cause of liberty. All this I have done for the preservation of a moral principle that holds dear the dignity and worth of every human being. Oh, it is a principle that I would gladly die for. And it is one that I have been happy to have lived for. Thank you.
All right, I was on mute. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we are at the end of our show, and I don't know what to do. I want to clap. I want to snap my fingers. I want to say bravo. This has been awesome. Masood, he knows how I feel about him. He is wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We have had a great night this evening, starting with Jenderlyn White in her original gospel music piece, and Celilian with her poetry, and that poem about Dorothy Height, and that poem about how she just spoke about that man. that man poem, that was wonderful. Kahlua and Cream, you gave us the best that you had. Thank you for bringing Anita Baker back, taking me back down memory lane. Sahara Sandhu with your bedtime stories. Dr. Alice Harris in the Arts Conservatory for Teens. That was just absolutely amazing to have your performer come in and do that beautiful art, creative arts expression with her dance. And just what Alex said, we people, we humans, we are art. And hopefully you have enjoyed tonight's evening. A special thanks. And I kind of want to interview her. So can we bring Terry Burrell back? Because we haven't had our turn to interview her. And this is just something impromptu, because I was like, she didn't tell us about what she's doing. And I want to hear a little bit about more, because when they told me we were having Terry Burrell, I went to her website like she went to everybody else's website, and she does some amazing things. So thank you, first of all, thank you for being our awesome hostess with the best MC ever. And thank you so much. Could you tell us more about what you are doing? It's time for me to interview you.
Okay. Well, presently I'm in Hilton Head, Florida. Hilton Head, South Carolina. Oh my goodness. Do I know my geography? I'm at the Arts Coastal Center of South Carolina, and we're doing a little review about Johnny Mercer and his music, which was incredibly prolific. I mean, just some of the most wonderful, all kinds of artists. I mean, Tony Bennett, Nancy Wilson, Barry Manilow, just all kinds of people did. One known fact, little known fact, he was very close to Nat King Cole, and Nat King Cole signed with his company, Capitol Records, and became very successful. But when he was in New York City, a radio station ran a contest to see who their favorite colored vocalist was, and he won. So he was not a black man, but he sounded like one. And so I'm doing that here until next Saturday. And then next year for Theatrical Outfit, I'm going to reprise Lady Day at Emerson Bar and Grill, which was an amazing script about the last couple of months of Billie Holiday's life. And that's it. Otherwise, I'm, just hanging out. And this has been wonderful. I mean, I had no idea who any of these artists were, and I did my homework. I looked them all up. I'm so impressed with everyone. It's just an honor to be in that company. Thank you.
Well, thank you again. And before we close out, I just want to do one more recognition to our amazing Arts and Letters Committee led by Deborah Shepherd Brooks. Thank you for bringing this event to fruition. And I see Masood in the background like this for the St. Petersburg, and not just St. Petersburg. Because of the pandemic, everybody is virtual, and we're able to share our production with the country. We have people all over the country tuning in today. So thank you for coming. Again, thank you to our Arts and Letters Committee. Thank you to the ladies of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority. And before I go, I do want to share with everyone that our chapter is celebrating a milestone this year. We are celebrating our 60th anniversary. Yes, you can keep it there. And in a couple weeks, we will be hosting our 60th Diamond Anniversary Virtual Gala on Sunday, May 23rd from 4 to 6 p.m. And we encourage you all to come back and visit us. It's going to be a great program, and you'll get to learn a little bit more about our chapter and what we've done over the last 60 years. And you can hear some of the great things that we have in store. And we have our special guest, one of the past national presidents of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, Dr. Paulette C. Walker, will be our keynote speaker. And we will have a special performance by Kalia Lene, who is an awesome vocalist. She was actually on one of the recent past seasons of The Voice, and she had all the judges on their feet. She can sing. So please come back. And again, thank you all. And I'm not sure if Terry is coming back in to close it out, or all right. So thank you all for coming, and please join us again.
Just closing it out, just saying goodnight to everybody. Stay safe, love each other, but also love yourself. Take care of yourself. I got my neighbors Hank and Cy in Atlanta, Georgia watching tonight. I'm so proud. Atlanta's in the house. And so tonight, ladies and gentlemen, for myself and joining me, my sisters Debbie, Carrie, and Priscilla, we bid you adieu with this.
I know you belong.